G'day, and welcome. Alright, stop my trailer. Needs so much work, but look at this nice shiny boat. I'm getting there, so I did a little bit of research of what I'm going to use, and there's stuff called butyl tape, and this is what I'm going to use to rebed everything. There's some of it right there. I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but I'm going to use some of that butyl tape to rebed this old boat. I use some, I don't know if the shine is there, if you could see it. Even just go like that with my hands, it just shines it up even more. I used boat polish on it for the first time yesterday, not just wax. Look at that. That's still pretty clean too, so I did a good job. I'm working it all in by hand. Now, I could use the buffer, my King Canada buffer on the clean pieces, but on this stuff here just rips up the buffer, it just destroys the buffer. The osmosis is coming out, but I've made the executive decision to... What's my dog doing? My dog's down there. Anyway, that wasn't my executive decision. My executive decision was, yes, I am going to remove all the hardware on the boat. And I will do that once I get some butyl tape, green silicone, which I had some, but it was so old it actually dried out in the tube. Oh, hey, little side note. See how well this little rope worked? Sucked up all the water that was there. I should leave a sponge or something right there. It always builds up there. Technically, this boat is on a 2-degree heel. And all the water builds up on one side and gets trapped in. But yes, getting back to the butyl tape. The goal with the butyl tape is basically to take all my hardware off the deck so that I can, it's kind of warm in here, all the hardware off the deck and rebed everything. Now I'm probably not going to do the actual rails out there, the fastening rails, the deck, whatever proper name is for it, because that's doesn't seem to be leaking there, and that's a lot more work than I want to get into. But you never know. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. But I just thought I'd give you that little topic where, yeah, butyl tape is what you're going to be rebedding all the hardware, your deck hardware with. There's other things out there too. Some people, all the old guys will tell you, don't use silicone. And then some guys say, well, anything above the waterline's fine. And my experience is, it is fine, it just doesn't last as long as probably the butyl tape. The butyl tape, apparently some of that stuff is like good for like 30 years. But it does, I guess, depending on what piece of hardware it is, might actually dry out on you over time. And you only have to put it on the screw parts. But you see, what I really want to, one of the main reasons why I want to get rid of, or not get rid of, obviously not get rid of, but take off the hardware off my boat, is when I take off my railings, you can see all the osmosis and stuff, just the areas I just can't get at. And I'm going to see if I can get strip it all down, get a hold of a good high-powered pressure washer, heck, even if I have to rent one. There's a guy in the town, he might do it for cheap for me, and he's got like 3,500 PSI. And if that can remove all this stuff, then I won't take the other drastic of basically spot blasting the deck where it's all the osmosis is. Just spot blast it all, and then redo the what's called the gel coat. I still don't. I want to do all the research before I do anything drastic like that. But I would like to be able to actually strip it all down. Basically, I'm not. This isn't going to be a show boat, but I would love to have this deck last. I want to be 85 years old, and the boat still looks like it was built back in 1980, or 1979, or 1976. I have no idea. The plate says it's a 1980. The title says it's a 1973 or 76 or 78. I can't remember. My own. I don't even know where my ownership is for my boat. It's down in here somewhere. I got it hiding somewhere. I got a boat file somewhere, and I'll have to look at it again. But you kind of forget these things when you're not around them all the time, eh? But the thing is that, yeah, this deck is still pretty good. There's no rot in the deck that's of any real serious concern, but it's at that age where if you do your maintenance now, you're good. If you don't, it will probably start taking that other fork in the road down the path you don't want to. So butyl tape, I'll be looking for that. If you guys have experience with the butyl tape, looks nice and easy to use. That's another reason why I like the idea of it. Other thing with butyl tape, how does it hold up even though I'm nowhere near salt water at the moment, I would like to know how well butyl tape holds up against salt water, because that could be very interesting to see. I mean, if you never know where this boat's going to end up, right? I'm in the labor mode right now for this boat. I almost, obviously I enjoy sailing more than working, but I don't know, the projects, I do like these little projects on the boat, as long as there's nothing too major, but you feel so accomplished when you do something with the boat, even just like getting the boat clean and getting the stains out, getting the osmosis out. It just makes you feel better about yourself, like you know, you really feel like you've accomplished something. Polishing it up so it gleams in the sun. Yeah, that's always nice stuff. But to get this boat spick and span, and then to take care of all the crazing, I do have Crack Be Gone somewhere. I don't know if it's any good. It's probably inside. You can see I got a plethora of clean stuff. Was very impressed with how well the Lysol worked, but I only did it in spots because I didn't want, it is kind of toxic stuff, but it did clean a lot of the stains out really well. And I'll keep going at it. Again, doing everything by hand because I don't have access to a pressure washer. Pressure washer would make life so much easier. But is what it is. But yeah, before I take care of the crazing and all that stuff, it'd be nice to do all that with the deck off, or all the hardware off the deck, and just seal up all the holes. Ideally, it's nice if you can work inside someplace. The big problem when you're working with fiberglass out in the hot sun is you've got to watch it doesn't catch fire on you. So be mindful of the temperature. Maybe even make your own little sunshade while you're working. It's a good idea. But yeah, restoring the entire boats, the cockpit, the deck, everything like that, and replacing all the gel coat. I still haven't found here's the stuff you put on it. It's clear coat, gel coat, and put it on. I've seen all kinds of deck paint. I don't want deck paint because it looks good for the first couple of years, and then it starts to flake on you. And even when you're paint over it, you can see where the flakes were. And I don't want that. I want gel coat. I want it to look like it did. Other thing I'm going to do, little things, especially if you go to sell off a boat, you'd be surprised. Like little things. Like, number one, clean the boat. You add $1,500 to $2,000 to a boat like this just by cleaning it. But something, and you laugh, but I'm telling you from experience. See my Hughes stickers? You can see that the name is there, but the stickers, the decals are pretty much all gone. I want to get those remade, and I know you can get them printed out and then take it to a sign company or whatever, and they'll print it out, and I want to restore that. Putting those back on, again, increases value of the boat. All the little stuff like this, like you see the screws are kind of loosening up there. I want to replace that. This is weird, what's going on with this. I don't know how the hell they got these railings on here. Maybe it's just the wood swelled or whatever. So you can see I've got some plugs. Plugs are easy to take out, but once you take them out, you got to make new ones and put some back in there. And it's an 11mm socket. Now, what I thought they did, which would make sense, is the bolt goes all the way through, and you can see where the bolt comes out here, and there's a nut in there. But the problem is you can't get an 11mm socket in there. I don't have an 11mm socket in here at the moment. But I tried a deep socket, and it's like, I don't know if that just what happened, but I can't get the socket in there to take out the... to get a hold of the nut. So I was hoping I was going to be able to just undo it from this end and then pull this off and then pull everything out. But I'm not going to do that yet. But you can't get at the nut in there, so I don't know how they did it. So maybe they used needle nose pliers. I have no idea what they did. But that's just some of the projects I got going on. So the deck hardware is going to come off. I mean, it's not like this boat's going in the water anytime soon, so I can take my time with it. But I would love to have a spick and span deck. Even if I'm not turning it into a show boat, that's not really what I'm after. What I'm after is burn'ems, leak'ems, and sink'ems. But if I can make it look good in the process, if I did sell it, it'd be right now, and I'm saying this with all intent and ego and everything, out of every, this is probably one of the nicest Hughes 26s on the planet that are still left. There's not a ton of these boats left, but there's quite a few of them. They made a few thousand of them. I believe there was probably about, I don't know, I'd have to go over, but there's a Hughes data site, and it'll tell you how many of these were made. And there's probably a few thousand of them worldwide. But one thing that was interesting about this boat is that it came in several different levels. You had the kind of do-it-yourself boat where it's kind of like you got a hull and a deck and a mast and all the rigging to sail, and down below was pretty Spartan, and you basically finished it yourself, kind of like a bit of a kit boat. Then there was this model, which was the Hughes 26E, which was like one up, and it came with a nice teak and all that stuff, and of course it's messy in here, but it looks really good. And then there was the Hughes North Star, I believe it was the North Star 600, and that was, it had a diesel. This has the inboard, but it has a diesel. You had an option with an inboard or without an inboard with these boats. Personally, the inboard's nice for handling, but for sailing qualities, having that prop dragging the water with such a short water, like this is a 26-foot boat, but it's only a 19-foot water line or something like that, or 20-foot water line. It really, you want every advantage you can going through the water. So I am thinking of ditching the inboard and putting on an outboard. Ideally, I'd like to put in a retractable electric in there, but it's like $4,000 to do that. So it's like, if I could do it for like $2,000, or even $2,000's too much, but like $1,500 or something like that, it would be worth it, because then you would add value to the boat. It'd be nice to have it all sail and electric, and then maybe have a little 5 horsepower or whatever, or even 3 horsepower that you just throw on the back to use to charge up the battery, and just charge with wind and solar. Whatever. But the idea to get that prop out of the water would probably gain about a half a knot to a full knot, or 3/4 of a knot of speed on this boat, which, again, it cruises with the prop dragging in the water from the inboard. You're looking at about 4.2 to 4.5 knots cruising. Peak probably 5.5 knots. You might touch 6 knots or 6.5 knots accidentally if you get the wind and wave right, and it's pretty much blowing like a hurricane out there. That's just the kind of boat it is. But anyway, I'm going to leave it at about that. That's just kind of how the project's working up. I know you guys, all this guy does is talk on the boat. He never does any work. I'm doing work. It's just slow, but you got to be methodical. You got to plan it out, because if you just start ripping things apart, and I see a lot of newer sailors doing this. They just bought the boat and they just start ripping things out, and they don't cost anything before they rip anything out. You remove one little thing and it could become a very big job very quickly. So be methodical. See what you're going to do first before you do anything. I'll do some other tips on the boat too.